Hey everybody, how's it going? It's a recap of the 13th. That's right, of Monday. We're going to go over college basketball, which is finishing as we speak. There are under 20 seconds left in the very last game that is going tonight between Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and Alabama. We'll get that score in there. We're also going to talk about NBA stuff. I'm working on the macro. Most of the games are completed tonight, but there's still a few. And we're going to talk about what we're going to do here. Looks like it's a very split day at like 4 and 5. And then we're going to talk about hockey as well, which has a couple games still going tonight. But interesting to talk about some things that the hockey algorithm predicted today. Because what we're trying to do here is I'm trying to be able to read the algorithm cleanly enough so that I can tell you to do certain things, like play home teams or maybe play certain over-unders and stuff. This game won't finish. All right, we're going to put this score in there the way it is right now, and I'll double check at the end. 75-72. It looks like our home team is not going to win. So it's a choppy day at 12-9, but how did home teams do? Home teams still managed to go 9-2, including potentially this game still finishing up right now. Southern, who had the worst strength of schedule of any one of these teams comparatively to their opponent, is the one that loses down here. Everything else wins. So not that bad of a day home team wise. How bad are the away teams? Wow. Wow. Massive. And the other thing is notice that almost all of these are favorites and one of our underdogs wins. I mean, we only had two underdogs on the day and we actually won one of them. And that means we were profitable. Yep. We're profitable right there. If you had bet just the underdog. So we talk about straight bets and whether or not you can find profitability. That is going to show up right over here. I mean, like you actually make almost one full unit betting the same amount on both of these underdogs. So in that sense, the away underdogs did okay, but the rest of the away teams just did awful, including ones that were all favorites by the odds makers too. So just I will keep saying this: away teams are not predictable. They just aren't, which is why you focus on home teams and you get less surprises, right? It looks like yep, they lost. It looks like that is a final. So here you do have this loss on the end, but it is the one all the way at the bottom, and this other one had a bad strength of schedule. So there are at least some reasons, but Grambling wins. The value picks on this list was just Grambling, I believe. I said in the video, right? They do win. And they did not cover though, but they win the game. So anyway, now let's talk about points for a second. Our over-under is 6-5, it says on the home teams. What about all teams? 8-13. And I noticed that we were better with home teams as well for some reason. So there's something going on with the algorithm predicting home teams versus away teams that we need to keep an eye on. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to sort by our odds differential number to see if we are learning anything or potentially finding anything that the algorithm can help with when it comes to points. And I think the answer is going to be we need to work on our point projections. Yep. I mean, loser here. Once again, if we're picking the under, bet the over. I mean, wow, this is the second day in a row I think it did this. Or yeah, maybe third day in a row. It did this with on Saturday for sure. Yeah, it's saying like 11 points under this, and they still go over. Like, why? I don't know why we're getting those so wrong. So bad whenever it's predicting the under. How about the overs? The overs were better yesterday. Nope. Terrible. That's losing more than half. I mean, this is anti-good. So something's going on with our points. And as I was looking at this, putting scores in, I realized that, and I'm like, all right, well, something's going on with the points. And I mean, we can see that here being, our score is too low, big time, too low. We're way too low. That's about right, almost, but we're still a little low. Yeah, we're just low on all these games. I know we have it sorted in that order. Let's sort it by margin again. So if we are too low on points, sometimes it's a very tough question to answer. I don't necessarily know what's doing it, but it is tied to the distribution percentages, right? Which means work needs to be done here to get this more accurate. Well, that brings me over to NBA. So NBA, we already have that built. And I guess I can start building the macro. I actually did start building the macro already. I have a combination string. I just haven't run the macro and created the pivot because there's so many games in college basketball. This thing would just explode and get too big really fast. But I do have the ability to do this. Do have the ability to do this. So it's something that's going to be on the list, especially as the tournament comes around. So this is one of those things I'm going to chip away at. As you know, I just chip away at work basically. But adjusting these percentages will do better things with points, and it's clearly needed. So that's on the list of things to do because I don't like what our points are doing. So that's on the list for college basketball. Now let's continue on with NBA. So a few games still going on. And I ran the macro already, and I want to talk about what I've already done today as we progress and try to learn about the NBA file. Warriors are winning, and the Lakers are getting blown out. I almost want to put that the Lakers are going to lose down here because they're just getting blown out, and I want that to be representative in the results. And it's like 64, 74, 79. Are the Warriors going to find a way to win at home against the Wizards? Probably, right? So you get something like this if those scores hold, which is like a 5 and 6 day. And I ran the macro already to give us our results with just the 9 games that had finished. And we're 4 and 5 on everything. Every single distribution is 4 and 5. And that's all these different, they're not the same distribution, but every single one is 4 and 5. Now, it doesn't mean every one of these has the team in the same order every time because they don't. We can move the team up, and this is going to give us an interesting look here. So we have this sorted by projected margin of victory, which has to do with projected scores that we had in this game. And one thing that is to notice is that where all the algorithms combinations heavily favored certain teams, those teams were actually on the top of the list and won, including an underdog in Orlando. Now, that is represented here by what came out in the NBA algorithm video I did earlier today. Now, what's more confusing about this, though, is Atlanta losing, Lakers getting blown out. Mavericks came back and almost tied it up and fought hard, but they lose. And the thing is that their margin said that they would lose. And let me explain that to you. So let's go back to number 1. Okay, yeah, now we have different margins. And here's what I want to talk about with margins. So the margin is the comparison of the team without the injured player projected score thing going on. So it's just the team's stats really comparatively against each other. And that's the way that we can sort this. And it's going to give us things that are more in line with the odds makers. See? So we have huge margins and bad lines. Well, in that sense, we get these games up here. If Golden State holds on, Denver was a nice win. That was the nice win that paid. Here you get the Sixers way up top like they're supposed to be. We didn't have them that way when it comes to points because our projected margins of victory were different. So, but you're still just getting, you're getting loose. But then what happens here? Wait a minute. So now we got a different situation going on when we're going by margin. And as I was looking at the history, and I'm talking really fast and not making a lot of sense, but watch this. All right, we're going to clear the filter that we were using. And now instead, we're just going to go by margin, which is just the team stats. Margin's got to be greater than 0. Well, now all of a sudden, we're 8 and 3. And that's kind of interesting, right? You're like, wait a minute. And what's our order look like? You still get this underdog of the Timberwolves actually winning. You don't get Orlando this way. Orlando really supposed to lose and for some reason wins. Although the projected margin of victory said that they would win, but that was kind of wrong too. So watch us do some work on this file on the fly because I can tell this is going to be more helpful. So my injury projected P health score, it's freaking a disaster. It's such a disaster. I'm getting rid of it. And I'm going back with no health score. And we'll just glance at this. After I do that, now we go back to the testing cube, clear everything out. And we are going to refresh this, which should give us nothing. All righty. And on top of that, we're going to go back and we're going to run our macro. 8.3 here. We're going to run our macro. I'll show you what else we're going to do after we run the macro. So you go up and you go to view macro, run. And we only need to go to the 30-second combination because I only have 32 combinations in there of percentages. And while they're unique, they're actually layered and they are similar to, I really only have like 20 kind of unique ones, but I have some different versions of percentages where I lowered the percentages so that they don't add up to a really ridiculous number to try to make the points better. So we're trying some different stuff. So we don't have to wait for the whole 100 to go. We just have to wait till about 32 go, which is almost there. And then when we hit 32, you can just press escape and then you can escape out of the macro and it will still have completed everything up to that point. And that's about good. So we're going to escape right now. If it'll let me, we're going to end. And so that's going to give us a new look in the comparison pivot here. Because we're not going to look by projected score anymore. We're now going to look by something else. We're going to look by margin, which is right here. We have margin showing. We're going to change our filter. And we're going to look at all distributions for a second. Just for today, being the 13th. And we're going to change our filter. So right now we have a filter on for what? For combo, right? So normally we have all the different combinations on top. And we have one going 8 and 2. And then we've got a few 8 and 3s here, right? That's awesome. 8 and 3s. We are looking at this by what? What else are we filtering by? Anything? Combo name, combo number. What are we filtering by? I think we're filtering by something. So I'm going to look in the field list. Record ID, value filters on the record ID is projected in margin of victory. Instead of that, I want margin to be greater than 0. And the reason why is I want things to just be showing by margin. And this is what you get. Is you get a much better look. Get a much better look. This 11-1, I don't know why it's 8 and 2, but the number 1 has Cleveland, Philly, Atlanta, Denver, the Bulls, the Jazz, Timberwolves, Knicks, Warriors, Pelicans, and the Lakers at the bottom. That is not looking bad. Let's look at all the teams and all the distributions because this is starting to get interesting, right? So now we can say, well, based on all these different combinations we had, who did it favor the most and by how much when it came to margin, not when it came to projected margin of victory. This is actually points like not applicable really because we're messing around with the point projections. So it's kind of like raw points. It's weird. So it says that by all these combinations we have, Cleveland would have won, and they would have won by the most points. All right. Well, they did win, and they didn't cover, but they won by 8. Then there's the Sixers, right? Then let's start to look at this. So who actually won? Who actually lost? We want to get a losing Atlanta down. We want to get the Bulls losing down, and we want to keep the Lakers down, right? Well, overall, you lose that Atlanta game, but you win here. You have the Bulls too high up here, but they lose. Jazz win. Brooklyn loses. Yeah, so this is not as good of an order as the thing we had. I was comparing this to the order that we actually had. and it's better in number one. All right, so after all that. So 11 and 1 and 24 and 23. Yep, these are iterations of a similar type of combination string, which is this, which is super heavy on rebounds. It loves rebounds. It loves rebounds, this combination. And rebounds are apparently crushing it lately. So yeah, I mean, that's not that bad right there. Right? This is number one. How crazy were our points? Crazy. They were crazy. So what about the one where I shrunk this down? I think I shrunk down the numbers from number one all the way down here in number 20, in number 24. Okay, so let's go to try 24. This is how we're adjusting our combination string to try to make more reasonable points. See how our points are crazy right here, 132.91. That's ridiculous. We'll see what happens when we look at this new combination string. Okay. Hey. Hey, Shanae. That's better, ain't it? Look at that. So we got that down to 100% combination string. Okay. All right, we're making progress. So what this is this combination string divided by 3, because there was this 265 here. So now we got it down to 88. Let's divide it, instead of even dividing it by 3. We don't even need to divide it by 3. It's divided by 2.65, because that's about what it was. Let's bring that over here again. Now let's refresh this and see if these scores get even better. 117, 106. So this game, I think this can go to overtime. No, it's just a big scoring game. Hawks Hornets. That's the loser. That's pretty good here. This is over predicting the score of this game. And this is the game where the Bulls lose, right? So these losing games, it's getting wrong. Okay. Okay. Here. Little low. Little low. High on here, but low on here. For the Knicks game. Knicks outscore it. This game's not over. And this game close, but we're a little high. This is okay. No, this is okay. Number 24, Michael Jordan +1. We're going to go with that tomorrow, and we're going to work off that. Making sense? Look at that. You're 7 and 4 on the spread with this one. All right. All righty then. We could even look at how that, I mean, I just redid it, so it's not going to totally, let's go to the compare pivot real quick. The whole season, I want to see where combo string 24 came up. It's right here. 129.85, 60%. All right. So we're going to go with this one right now. That's what we're doing. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, but that's how we've progressed, and we're going to go with that distribution string. Now let's go over to hockey. Let's finish off the day with hockey. So hockey, I mean, you're learning that you just bet underdogs all the time. Seems to work out. Mads Søgaard has, I think, a second game played. He had really good stats in his first game. I don't think he even let in a goal. He plays well and survives overtime and wins this game for Ottawa. And they managed to win this game at their +140 line. Come back down 3-1 to win that game. Arizona, as an underdog, going to beat Nashville because Nashville's not playing very well. And Arizona can win a game once in a while, and it's hockey. Florida wins a low-scoring game here. The story of this game was low scoring. You see good goalie ratings here for Philip Gustafson. And Minnesota's inability apparently to put pucks in the net. It predicted less than 5.5 goals here. The over-under was 6.5. They ended up tying 1-1 going to overtime. So there you go for a low-scoring game. And Detroit is up 3-1 right now, if nothing has changed. Let's double check. It is the end of the second period. It is still 3-1, and the Sabres and Kings are tied 0-0. So if Detroit comes through that, then that will be nice because it told everyone to take Detroit. They were the number 1 pick of the day. So we'll see if that continues. And this game seems to be more of a toss-up of what can happen here. So like almost anybody with a good line, the way this is looking. All right, so that's the recap for Monday. I will be back for Tuesday. and I'm still figuring out what to do with the Discord server and what to sell and what not to sell and how often to do this. But I am happy with the growth. I mean, we're up to like 90 subscribers, I think. It went from 91 up to 91 subscribers from 33 just a week ago or less when I started moving over to this channel. So we'll hit 100 soon, hopefully, and we'll keep going, and I'll keep doing videos until we get to the monetization stage again, and then I can just see. Can just get there and see. That's what I'm going for. Is I want to hit that goal. I already hit it once and didn't get paid. I'm gonna try to hit it twice, and maybe I'll get paid. All right. Good luck, everyone. May all of your picks be winning.